All right, so my name is Marcus Trice, and I am doing a practical application for FTT 2216171, Sights, Optics, and Accuracy. So let me go over what I'm doing here real quick. I have, kind of funny, I have a piece of aluminum that you guys had given me, SDI had given me, that I had used for tapping demonstrations and also doing the hydro dip. So this little piece of metal has come in very, very handy. So now I'm using it for lapping the scope here with the scope rings. Now, I had already a couple of drilled holes, but prior to doing the video here, I just drilled and tapped another hole so I could put this rail on. I had to work with what I had, so it's a little crooked on the piece of metal, but it's pretty level in both axes here. So the only thing, the concern here was this, in the AIM scope box came these little scope mounts, and I don't think we're supposed to be using those. It doesn't, and maybe I missed it, I don't know. I believe it's these that we're supposed to be using, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to lap these scope rings for the scope. All right, so I've got the scope rings mounted, and I'm just doing a test fit of the scope. The only level that I have other than a carpenter's level is a string level, and it works pretty well actually. Yeah, you can see there's a little, something's not quite right in there, but that's pretty good. Oh, that's actually pretty spot on. And again, that's saying, that's as if the cap is true on both axes. So let's take this out of here. All right, so basically they're mounted. Then we have to use so this is the Weaver scope ring alignment tool, where you put them in and you're trying to line up the points on there. And actually, they're pretty good right now, but let me put them in one at a time and line them up. They're actually pretty lined up well. It's funny, I think that this one's got a bit of a flattened nose on it, but when you look at them, it's almost like an optical illusion trying to line them up, but when you put something behind it, you can see that they're pretty lined up. But I'm gonna go ahead and lap these anyway. Okay, so now I've cleaned everything with some alcohol, and I'm gonna use the lapping compound and a Q-tip, and I'm gonna put some on, let me mix it up a little in here, and I'm gonna put it on the inside of the rings. The back one here. What's interesting about this is that I've always wanted to do this, and I have some rings and a mount and some scope, or a scope, to put on a Remington 700. I wanted to do this, and I haven't had the nerve. Now I do. Well, now I have the practice. All right, so once that's generously put on, it said to apply some on here. Actually, I'm gonna put it right here and slide it through. Boy, that sounds grindy. And then you're going to want to put some on the outside to pull it through. So if I'm going here, that's probably going to be about here. I guess you can hear that lapping compound already. Here. Wow. All right, so now I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to put the center into it. Okay, so I've got the handle installed. I'm going to go back and forth on it, and I'll now I've tightened them down to a certain degree to give a resistance. Now I did tighten them down just a little bit, but you don't want them too tight, because if they're too tight, you won't be able to move the bar. Now, because of the small space here and the small scope, they're pretty close together, so you have to be careful not to bang the scope mounts with the handle here. All right, so now I've got the screws out. I'm gonna go ahead and take these out. All right, and I'm gonna clean them. And clean that, obviously. Okay, so I've done the lapping. I've cleaned them all up. I'm going to mount the scope. What's interesting is that you can see the unevenness in it from that lapping compound. It took off, you can see the high points and the low points. I'm just going to test fit it for the purpose of the video, but I would probably do another round. So excuse me, I'm actually not going to put the scope in. I'm actually going to put in the Weaver set here and test the alignment. As you can see, they line up pretty well. I mean, they're really, except for, like I said, this one doesn't have as fine a point on it, but they line up pretty well. I mean, look at that. They're like spot on. It's hard to tell with this one on this side here because it's just a kind of stubby, whether or not they're, but I mean, as far as them lining up, they're lining up very well. All right, so Bubbles in the middle. I've used some blue Loctite and gone back and forth on tightening up the scope very carefully. And the next step is to remove the cap and check the level in that sense. But this has been a quick demonstration or illustration, I guess, of lapping scope rings so that you can have a perfectly aligned scope. Thank you.